Rappers and music producers. It's Curtis King at CurtisKingBeats.com, and you're listening to the Curtis King Podcast. Rappers and music producers. Today we have a special guest. It almost feels weird to call him a special guest because I've known him for some years, and this is really a friend of mine. But we got Willie B in the building, also known as the Ichiban Don. And we're gonna get into all of that information. For those of you that are unfamiliar, I don't want to take all the steam out of his introduction because I do want him to explain, sort of his journey through this industry. But most of you know him from his production credits with Kendrick Lamar and J. Cole and Wale, and there's a bevy of other artists, more recently with Daylight. But Willie B, tell the people who you are. You gonna just sneak the book in there like that? That's how we gonna do that? We just gonna sneak the book? That's what's up. I appreciate that product placement, my brother.
It's crazy. It's crazy because my kid just pointed the book out right now on the table. That's why I grabbed it.
I said, is that
him? Yeah.
Shout out to him.
He said, shout out to you, man.
Shout out to him for that. So tell the audience, who is Willie B? What artists and what records have you produced? That just the ones that stand out for yourself.
The ones that stand out for myself, other than like producing the records on the artists that I work with closely, such as Daylight, J. Anthony, things like that. The ones that stand out the most, the ones that everybody know about are, usually the ones that I did were, the ones I've done with TDE, mainly Kendrick Lamar, like Rigor Mortis, Ignorance is Bliss, Pullman's Dreams, Absol record. Let me think. There's so many soul records. Soul Cry. Oh yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Soul Cry. Mayday.
That was one of my favorites.
Showing Love. What else? I mean, recently Huey New, Q Records. I mean, Black Thoughts, Gangsta Designer. Gangsta Designer, one of my favorite records that I've ever produced.
That's wild.
Yeah, I love Gangsta Designer. Love it. And a lot of J-Rock records on this first LP that he did with Strange Music. I have 4 on there.
Right.
What was the records? Killer Be Killed. What was the other ones? It was a few of the other ones. It's a lot, so right. I can't really, and of course J. Cole, 03 Adolescence.
Absolutely.
So a lot of blessings.
And it's an honor to be able to say that I knew you before a lot of these credits were even popping up. We were having conversations out in front of venues in Long Beach, and it was like, "Yo, man, I mess with what you do." And we've had
Snick at
Night, man. That's the Snick at Night era. You know me from the Snick at Night era. That's the Curtis King still trying to find himself and kind of come into his own time period. But we've had many of discussions. I obviously know the answer to this next question, but I know the audience would love to know all these records that have been so successful and have sent your name all across the world. What equipment and software are you using?
I use Image Line FL Studio.
Come on.
FL Studio. I've started using a lot of Pro Tools lately. Those are the 2 main ones I use, honestly, is Pro Tools and FL. I mean, I can use a lot. I've worked with Khalil on Ableton,
right,
and things like that, but home is FL Studio. So, yeah.
Absolutely. And it's not a surprise. I just talked to Jay Nari, the first interview that I did, and he said it straight up. He was like, look, I have messed around with Reasons. But it's almost like FL Studio is the foundation of this all, especially of our generation more. So let me ask you this, in 10 seconds or less, how would you describe your production style?
My production style is I don't know. I really don't know how to, honestly, I really don't know how to.
How about this? If you want an elevator right now and somebody said, Willie B, I've heard that name, man. What would I expect to get a Willie B beat? What can I expect from it? What would your elevator answer be before they get off?
My elevator answer would be definitely would have something that's a little abstract.
Okay.
Not so, typical norm. There's nothing wrong with having records that's out like the other stuff that's out. Like that's
Right.
cool. It's just when I make records, I try to make sure that it's something in it that just it has some kind of tinge of difference. Just something that'll catch somebody that'll make them be like, oh shit, what was that? Like, you know what I mean? That you'll get randomness, random.
That's a great. That's a great.
Wait. Here we go. No, it's coming to me now.
It's coming. All right, let it flow. I know it's more than 10 seconds, but let it flow. Let it flow.
So here we go. It's the perfect way to organize confusion. There you go.
That's the perfect. I think that's the perfect way to put it, because
it's organized confusion.
The beautiful part about having your own sound and your own texture within your music is that when it's crazy, without me having to know what you've worked on for the last year, I almost know what you've been working on for the last year. When I pull up a record, when I pull up somebody's album, especially let it be a Schoolboy Q, there's a distinct swing in your drums, a distinct almost like texture of drums that you choose. I say the same thing about the homie Jansport J, in that he has found a way to really hone down on these are my Jansport J drums. And I think that's something that always stood out to me, just that, especially rigor mortis. You don't expect that bass line to come in the way it does. And it's so beautiful. If you have never had an opportunity to go see Willie B do a beat showcase or some kind of DJ set, please do yourself a service, because the hand movements will show you instruments that you don't even know was in there. Let's even go, hold on. Let's even go as far back as Ignorance is Bliss. Kendrick Lamar, Ignorance is Bliss. I had never noticed, like, I think I've heard it, but I didn't understand how abstract those, I don't know if they were bell instruments. And so I saw you at a showcase, and you looked at me dead in the face. You said, ding, 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 ding. It was like the way it wasn't a string, but it was something about that. And I said, dang, the only person that I know who would show you instruments through their hand movements was the homie Captain. He was great at that as well. But I think that's something that's interesting too.
That whole thing, I gotta pay homage to Chords for that. Like Chords, like he's the one who like made me like understand that whole concept of adding certain sounds in that other people really can't recognize, but using your hand movements to kind of like make them be like, oh damn, that was in there the whole time and I didn't know it. You know what I mean? So yeah, Chords is who I kind of got that whole thing from, like that, because that's who I first started working with when I was, starting to be on the scene, So yeah.
Well, I know that before the credits came piling in, I know that before all the beautiful blessings that have occurred, there's many producers who I often wonder, and as naive as a question as it can be, they ask themselves, has he ever had a bad period of time as a music producer? And if so, what does that look like? So my next question to you would be, what was your worst music producer moment within this industry or before this industry that comes to mind? And really tell us a story if you can. I know you're great at storytelling. I would love to.
I just, to be honest, I try to I would try to tell the story without, making other people look bad or anything like that. But a lot of my strife came from, just how the scene is. This LA scene is pretty dirty. You know what I'm saying? The LA scene is pretty narcissistic, things like that. So, if you're a person that doesn't really operate in that type of energy, it could kind of, especially because music is so emotional. Music is so, it's energy based.
Right.
Sometimes when you have certain talents and things like that, and people recognize you have certain talents, sometimes there's other people in the same industry, other people in the same scenes that will, they'll do things to make sure that you don't, excel, succeed, or, that your sound doesn't get heard or things like that. You know what I'm saying? I've been through things like that, and I'm sure you've been through the same type of things. You know what I'm saying? Like a lot of my producer friends been through that situation. Like, so I know that's like a running thing in the game. And it's okay. You just got to keep working through it. And you just got to keep showing the people, showing you that, you know, this is me, this is what it is, this is what it is. And because at the end of the day, it's only so far that somebody could duplicate your sound, somebody could take your frequency, and, you know, you just got to keep it pushing. And as long as you keep it pushing and just keep reinventing yourself within the same frequency, like, the truth will come out.
And you pretty much answered the follow-up question, which was going to be, what advice would you, not even advice, but what would you want a producer to learn from your situations?
Yeah, you got to keep going. You got to keep going. You can't stop. You can't stop. You know, Curtis. Like, you can't stop. You can't stop, man. So and it's funny because when people ask me that, like, they feel like I'm giving them cliche advice,
right?
But coming from someone like you and other people who have platforms from them keep going, you know what I'm saying? From them keeping it going, like, they understand, like, it's not cliche advice. It's really the key. Like no, that's the key.
It. And I hope, I truly hope music producers that are listening to this understand that although you've probably heard this 1,000,001 times, there's a reason why you're hearing this 1,000,001 times. It should resonate with you that, you know, my mom used to say it. She said, you know, if you're gonna be doing nothing, if you're not doing this, you might as well be doing something. And if you're gonna be doing something, well, you might as well keep going. If you can't do nothing else, you might as well just keep going, because, you know, just for the simple fact that every day is a new variable. Every day something can happen. You know, you shake the right hand, or you end up in the right environment, or just something bad happens to where you say, you know what, never again will I put myself in this particular space or situation. And I think that those are still important. Moving forward, I would ask you this. What are some of the ways, you don't have to get into too much of your business, but what are some of the ways that you generate income as a music producer?
A lot of it is through royalties.
Okay.
I mean, you know, here and there I sell, you know, freelance beats to, you know, up-and-coming artists. I try to, like, sell it to them for a price that I know is attainable for them, but at the same time, I can make some kind of profit. You get what I'm saying? But mostly, when I do that, what I like to teach those artists is that they have to be able to want to invest in themselves. I feel there are a lot of artists and a lot of producers nowadays that want the world for nothing. You know what I'm saying? When you got people like you who spent so much money and so much time, and people like myself who's done the same thing, and, you know, we barely like making it, you know what I'm saying? We barely getting to where we've always dreamed to be. Like, it's happening, but it's like, dog, it took us so long to do it.
Right.
And they have to understand, like, yo, like, it's not gonna come that easy. Like, you just down, you know what I'm saying? Like, nah, man, you have to invest in yourself. Like, you have to put your money where your craft is. And that's the only way it's gonna come back. You know what I mean? So yeah, and that's how mainly through royalties, to be honest, like through, you know, the Kendrick records, the J. Cole records, those things, and ASCAP, and, you know, ASCAP, you know what I'm saying? They look out for me every quarter, you know what I'm saying? So that's pretty much how, that's where it's at right there.
And the reason I asked that is definitely, you know, not to be in nobody's pockets, but I think producers have to see realistically as they get into this. They say, I want to do this for a living. I want to, you know, I want to be a producer. It's important for them to realize that even the difference between the way that you generate income from a Jay Nari, from some of the future guests we have, is good to see the variation so that they can stop saying, I want to be a music producer within the industry and not know what direction they want to go in. So I think it's very important that you share that with us, and I appreciate you sharing that with us. Here's another notch for you. What would you say, because we're going to get to the second part of this, but what would you say is your biggest weakness as a music producer?
Time.
Okay.
Time. It's my biggest weakness.
And could you expand upon that? What specifically
about time? It's never enough
time,
dog. It's just never enough time. Time is my biggest weakness as a music producer, as a creative in general. Time is. See, here's the thing. So, like I said, I'm a big energy person. I'm a person that believes in, you know, you have good energy and certain type of energies that push you forward in life. Right. You feel me? I feel that family is an energy that's needed. Friends, like, you get what I'm saying? I feel like that type of stuff is things that's you know, Well, and not for everyone. Everybody doesn't operate off of the same like wavelength. You know what I'm saying? Like for me though, you know, I like spending time with my family. I like spending time with my homies. You get what I'm saying? And it's just never enough time. You feel what I'm saying?
So would you say it's a matter of maybe time management, or would you think it's more so
time management, more so time management and just time. Like time just goes by too fast.
No, I get what you mean. I personally get what you mean. No, I personally get what you mean, because there's many times that I look up here looking for that 25th hour, and I know it's not coming, but I'm trying to make the most out of what I have. That being said, what do you feel like is your biggest strength as a music producer? That undeniable thing that when you get in a studio, everybody got to move out the way to let you do what you do. What would you say is your strength?
My strength is, you know, I feel like I have a God-given talent to be able to, and this is no game, and I'm not saying it because it sounds cliche, but real talk, like I feel like I have this talent where I could hear a record before I make it. You know what I'm saying? It's just something I've always been able to do. And when I'm making the record and it gives me the feeling that I felt when I was thinking about the beat in my head. Yeah. Bruh, it's just over after that, dog. Like that's just how, man. Like that's
you remember that conversation we had about the dopamine spike? We had that years and years ago.
Exactly. You know, that was like what, 4 years ago.
4 years ago we said that. And I hope the producers that are listening are paying close attention to the fact that not once do you hear, you know, him mention, you know, the competition that's over there working. I know they're working right now, so that's pushing me. It's a almost like an instinctual urge, or even like an insatiable feeling that you need to get to, a sound that you hear in your head. And it's not about picking a sound that's competitive with somebody else. It's about picking the sound that is the closest to what you imagine and envision in your head and in your mind. And I think that is really what equals, in my personal opinion, to your continued success. And I think not enough producers understand that.
Yeah, you can't concentrate on what somebody else is doing, man. You know what I'm saying? You have to, you could concentrate on it in the sense of, you know, just understanding what's going on and, you know, see what somebody else is doing. Maybe you could draw inspiration from it, something, whatever. But other than that, like, you shouldn't concern yourself or gauge your own success based off of what somebody else is doing at all. Your race is your race. Yes. At the end of the day. And, you know, your muse is your muse. And you choose what you decide to inspire you. If you, and what I'm saying is, if somebody chooses to use competition as an inspiration, that's cool, but that's only going to take you so far, because now, you know, like, it creates, to me, that type of mentality creates like a negative, like some kind of negative, like ceiling. You feel what I'm saying? And it, like I said, it only can go so far. But if you have you and you have the proper people around you to keep, you know, to also, that helps too. You have to have the right people with the right energy around you. You know what I'm saying? To, you know, because everybody is interdependent on everybody. Everybody lives with somebody, knows somebody, friends with somebody, loves somebody. So the proper people around you supporting you is a big factor in that as well. You can't have people around you that are low-key haters. You know what I'm saying? Like, these are your friends, or these are your homies, or yada, yada, yada. Sometimes it's even family. You get what I'm saying? But you can't always listen to them sometimes. Real talk, because your vision is your vision, and you have to follow that. So at the end of the day, you. If you're spiritual, add God into that. You feel what I'm saying? But you have to motivate yourself. Yourself is what should motivate you and push you through everything.
That's bars, complete bars, and it's necessary words that need to be said. Or as my New York brethren would say, facts. Facts. Actual factuals, facts. Let me ask you this. So early on, what do you think was holding you back from the success that you're experiencing today as a music producer? What do you think was holding you back?
Okay, let me tell you straight up. Listen, man. Even the times that you've known me, and, you know, I've had certain successes and blah 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 blah. Right. I'm not saying it to sound cliche. I'm not saying it to sound like, some lovey-dovey nigga, but real talk, like my chick, she's helped me understand that I don't owe anybody nothing. Like I need, you get what I'm saying? Like she like what held me back is I was too afraid to be myself unapologetically. Like I'm this person, like when you meet me, you talk to me, I have this big personality.
Right.
But when it come to like putting myself on camera and putting myself out there, not just sonically,
right,
but just even visually, like how you're an inspiration behind of why, you know what I'm saying, I feel like a lot of the successes that's been coming because I'm not afraid anymore to really put myself out and be who I fully am. You know what I'm saying? Like I always feel like I have to protect other people's feelings with my opinions about things, and that's just over. That's a wrap. It's over. And the biggest inspiration of that was definitely my girl, for sure.
That's
like,
so dope.
She's the one who coached me, like, yo, like my nigga, you cannot give a fuck about none of these niggas. You feel me? So
yeah,
that's what it is. Yeah,
and that's what it should be. And just to kind of give you a heads up with the audience, man, we discuss a lot of things, and I always tell them, you know, the same thing my pops told me is that your ultimate success will be influenced by the person that you choose to be with.
That's a fact. That's a fact.
And when he told me that, like fam, when Pops told me that, Pops was in a bathroom shaving, and I mistook how important it was because of how casual the conversation was. But he's shaving his face, and he said, the woman you choose is going to ultimately determine your success in his life. I didn't realize how much of a bar it was, but it never left my side. And so the older I got, the more wiser decisions I made. Obviously, you know, you still make your mistakes, but the wiser decisions you make, you start realizing, like, whether or not I can be in this studio session, whether or not I can even drive out and be, you know, at this show, the network is contingent upon, you know, the relationship that I have and how supportive this person is, or, you know.
Listen, man, not to cut you off.
No,
listen,
you're
straight
good,
up, Curtis, you know how far we go back. You know how far we go back, dog. We go back to when we was young and out here foolish. You know what I'm talking about. Bruh, your career changed when you got with that woman. You understand what I'm saying?
I understand.
And and everybody saw it. You feel me? Same thing here. Same thing here. You feel what I'm saying? Which is why people respect her, people respect mine. You get what I'm saying? That's the reason.
The result. And I think that's why I tell producers all the time too. I say, instead of looking at failure as a failure, look at failures as results. Because no matter what you're doing, it produces a result. Right? So any relationship I've been in, I never look at it as a failed relationship. I look at it as it produced another result that I didn't necessarily want, right? And now this is the one that's producing the results that I actually want. And I think that, man, there's so much from that I think, especially a younger producer, I wish somebody would have gave me the opportunity to experience this kind of a conversation hands-on. But let me ask you this, because this really segues really well to the next question. What was the best music producer advice that you think that you've ever received along your journey?
To brand myself.
Okay.
Not to, you know, be so caught up on placements, not to be so caught up on, you know, living and existing through the placements of artists. Like, get the placements, but use those as stepping stones. But the ladder should be built by you. Like, it should be your ladder.
Run that back. Run it back, Willie.
The placement should only be the steps of the ladder.
Yes.
That's it.
Yeah.
But the full ladder, the full like construction of the ladder needs to be you. Like, you have to build that. Like, you feel me? Like, a ladder wouldn't be a ladder if it didn't have those two things on the side holding it, dog.
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying? That's really the foundation of the ladder, because that's what holds the bottom. And those two things is what leads the steps to the top. So you have to be those two things that holds the ladder at the bottom and gets you to the top. So brand yourself. You have to brand yourself in that production. Like, use those records, use those platforms, and brand yourself at the end of the day.
Absolutely. And would you say, this is kind of a question that is inspired by what you just said. It's not really within the list, but is that where the introduction of sort of the Ichiban brand made it segue, where it was like, okay, I need to be able to very clearly establish a voice even aside from, or even I shouldn't even say aside from, but complementary to what you've already heard me as a producer. You know, Willie B has these credits. However, I am building something here because I saw that it segued to drum kits. It segued to even when you're doing beat showcases, it segued to even a different visual representation of what your sound is, even the way that you market it, bro. Like you still to this day have one of the most brilliant Instagram what is it called? Not the layout, but the rollout. One of the most brilliant rollouts was when I started seeing. I think it was these 1 minute or not even 1 minute. It might have been 15 seconds at that time. We didn't have 1 minute at that time.
15 seconds,
15-second snippets of your beat tape that had visuals that were like enhanced almost by the music, and that's how you dropped your beat, your instrumental album, and it was like this is your introduction to the sound, but everything was branded very strategically with that Ichiban branding.
And a lot of that is because of my partner Jose, R-Easy, 40 ounce of gold, Bricks House. That's and the funny part about it, how you asked me, like, oh, you know, what's the greatest producer advice I've ever received, and it's funny because I received it from him, and he's not a producer.
Not a producer. That's how it is most times.
You know what I'm saying? So, but that's the look. It worked. It worked, bro. So it worked. No, even like the tag. I have a tag. The tag is like it sticks. It sticks. It just sticks, bro.
It's perfect. It's perfect, especially for the type of beats that come in. You expect, when you hear that tag, you're expecting a certain texture. Like it wouldn't sound right. It wouldn't sound right if it was your tag, and then all of a sudden, you know, some just outlandish, you know, or even like some drums that wasn't hitting. It just wouldn't sound right. It'd be like, you know, Ichiban, and then all of a sudden it's just like, no, you know damn well he didn't do this. Is not his sound at all. It calls for. It's almost like when you hear Maybach music, you're expecting a certain quality, and I think that's so brilliant that you did that. I want to ask you this: what is an in studio habit that you think contributes to your success? Because everybody gets in the studio, and some people are different people. What do you think is an in studio habit of yours that continues to get you invited back to the studio?
Man. Smoking tree, dog.
That's why I love you. I knew I was gonna get an honest answer.
You're gonna get an honest answer for sure. Yeah.
And what is it about the tree you think that does that? The community of it, or what?
The community of definitely the community. I love the community of it for sure. The community of it. It also relaxes me, and it also opens chambers, bro. Like it just helps me just. You know what I mean? So yeah, man. That's for sure. Yeah. Okay,
so
to each his own, you know.
Absolutely. And the thing is, I didn't ask for anybody else. I wanted your answer. I wanted what you feel like is the habit that does that.
I'm not promoting it. I'm not telling you know these young producers that this is what's gonna make you the illest. No, you're gonna make yourself the illest. This is just on the journey of being the illest. I just stop by a tree here and there, pick off the leaves, roll it up.
And then the rest is history. The rest is history from there. Yeah, that's all. And I don't think you got to tell anybody these days. Nowadays, they gonna do what they gonna do. They probably watching this high right now.
Exactly.
Like, man, these are the best answers I've ever heard in my life, bro.
Yeah, bro. Yeah, he's right. Right.
So to some of these high producers watching, what VSTs are they probably going to forget that you suggest? But what VSTs do you suggest that they use for your producers? You ain't got to give all your secrets, but which ones do you?
That's the thing, Curtis. Yeah. Like, I don't really use VSTs, bro.
Really?
That's the bar. I don't really use VSTs, dog.
Is it because it's predominantly sampling, or what would you say?
Well, nah, it's not that. It's just I just never really used them. I like Omnisphere.
That's a truth, right?
Fire.
Like literally, me and you could go through every sound and still not go through every sound. Like we could both be working on it, and it's still a whole bevy of other sounds. Yeah.
No, I like Omnisphere though. I mean, but I guess because I just for so long before I even learned about how to use VSTs on FL, I was making beats without VSTs for so long that it just became habit, dog.
Wow.
Yeah. So like a lot of the sounds that I have are just external sounds that I have on a hard drive. So it's just thousands of sounds, dog,
Yeah.
that's just sitting on a hard drive, but it's not a VST, like a labeled VST. You get what I'm saying?
Right.
It's just sounds. And I load them up.
And it's crazy because I feel like that's where I draw so many comparisons, especially because I say over the last 2 to 3 years has been really my introduction to Jay Dilla. As crazy as that sound, like I knew of the music. Of course, there was music that I heard from Tribe, or music that I heard that I didn't know he was behind the production of, but I was always a fan and didn't know it. And so within the last 3 years, I really started to aggressively consume. And like now, you know, my lady, it's funny. We were watching a documentary on Jay Dilla about how he turned the MPC into a musical instrument, or turned a machine into an instrument. And she's listening to the beats and she's like, I've heard all of these before. She's like, I know you have, because I listened to the Pandora station on repeat and it's the same stuff going on.
Right.
But that's the one thing that I love about Dilla's production that I highly respect about yours, is that you take these sounds that don't sound like there's much potential to them and you find a way to reinterpret them. Somebody may look at that and say, I'm going to just take this 4-bar loop and I'm going to make that. You look at that and say, okay, that's a 4-bar loop. There's about 12 things I can do with that if I wanted to.
Exactly.
I think that's brilliant. Even the unexpected drops and the mutes and then the vocal samples. If you try to teach a class on this, it'd have to be like 3 or 4 semesters. You're not capturing this.
Because it's nothing technical about that technique at all. You know, it's not technical whatsoever. It's really based on feeling. You know, so if I put a vocal drop here and there, or I decide to do a random intro, or like you said, random bell sound in a certain spot, it's not because I technically know that that's right to put it there. It's just I feel that it's right to put there. But you can't teach somebody feeling. You get what I mean? So
I said in the book, you can't. Swing is nothing. Tay B's told me this. He said swing is something that you can't teach. It's something that you have to feel.
Yeah.
You know, everybody has their own swing. Everybody has that when you listen to it and it's like, okay, that's your swing. Okay, I can go along with it. That's why I mean, we always talk about this. Me and guys talk about it, that
that's
certain people got a swing where the kick starts in California and the snare is like in Maine. Like they're kicking like boom. And that snare is just like waiting. And it's like schnack. But it's all across the US. But it works for them. You know what I mean? But you're absolutely right. This is something that you feel. So that being said, with music all being something that's influenced by your environment, I'm sure there's things that you have consumed from either books, movies, or documentaries. But do you have any books, movies, or documentaries that you suggest that music producers consume for inspiration? That has been for you?
The Defiant ones. The Defiant ones, dog. Okay. The Defiant ones. Changed my life, bro.
What specifically about it? What specifically about it would you say?
Honestly, when you just see how, bro, Dre and Jimmy Iovine, bro, like when I tell you, dog, they took risks, bro. Like when you just see how brave they were with their creativity, man.
Yeah.
You just feel like you just feel like it's nothing you can do, bro. Like you see how far it took them. Like, man, they're so creatively brave, bro. Like changed my life forever, dog. Seriously. The people need to watch the Defiant ones.
Said no, nothing needs to be said. They need to go check that out. If you have not checked that out, there's no excuse not to. Yeah. And I'm always one that believes that in any industry that you're in, you're not just a casual consumer. You know, you literally become this efficient producer, efficient rapper by being such a student of the game, and not for the sake of being a student. It's just you love it so much.
Yeah, exactly.
This is what you're gonna watch the Defiant ones because it's like this is my field. Why wouldn't I?
I study every day, dog. I study, bro, and when I say I study every day, dog, like I literally, bro, I stay and study the game with my girl every day, bro. Yeah, every day. You feel me? Like you have to. Like you cannot not study this game, bro. Like you have to study the game every single day, dog.
Absolutely.
But it depends on how much you love it. If you love it that much, then you'll study it every day. You know what I'm saying? If you in it to just make $1, it's not gonna stick like that to you.
It's no longevity with it, because then you'll have your heart broken a million and one times before you realize there's got to be something more to it. Now, from somebody who has obviously studied for quite some time and somebody who's found a lot of success from being in studio, I want to go back to when it was before you were in studio and you were submitting beats off to artists to eventually work with them or potentially work with them. Mm-hmm. Now being where you're at today, what advice would you give to young producers in terms of a philosophy when sending beats out to work with potential artists? Because there's 1,000,001 producers who are sending it. What do you think would help them stand out? Some of them say, hey, well, I'm gonna send, one banger and 3 beats that sound like something I was off of the last project they worked on. How would you go about that?
I definitely believe in sending artist records that sound like something that they would use. Mm-hmm. But I also believe in sending an artist records that sound like something that is just completely you. Because sometimes a lot of these artists, they like to try new shit. You know what I'm saying? And you can't gauge that just because an artist is working on a new album, that they're going to want beats like things that they already worked on. If it's a new album, they might want a new sound. Yep. And you know what I'm saying? So you can't assume that they want the same shit. 2, keep your intros short. Keep them short. Keep your intros short.
And what is the significance? I know the significance, but what would you say is the significance for somebody who says, what if I have a well-produced intro and I got these string arrangements? Why do you say keep the intro short?
Because these artists, especially like major artists go through beats like water every day. Like majority of these artists, they have so many people sending them beats, dog. Like, for example, J. Cole. I send J. Cole records to his phone all the time, but dog, he knows finals, he knows Illmind. You get what I'm saying? Right. And all these niggas. And these are people who got bangers, bro. Bangers. So I'm pretty sure that these beats that he's going through aren't subpar, dog. So imagine he's going through at least 100 bangers probably a week, maybe every couple days. Mm-hmm. But you just have to try to do something that you feel might stick out. Sometimes you got to do something sometimes you have to submit something that you think that they might not like.
So then saying that, if we broke it down into a producer planning on sending 3 beats, now we're not talking about stylistically, but philosophically, how would you approach that? Now you're saying one of those would be a beat that's kind of a left field, something that you, what would those other 2 slots be reserved for?
Something that you think that they would like, and then something that's kind of like the middle of both.
Perfect. I feel like I've said this verbatim to somebody else
sure you
off the camera. That's what's so crazy about it. To hear it, and it's almost like we've talked about it, but to hear that is a beautiful thing, because it lets you know just that success is not a mistake. Success is not success literally is a habit. And these habits that we all share of folks who, even like I said, talking to Jay Nari, these are habits in which they understand the idea. He said it perfectly in that you should not send an artist something that sounds like something they already rapped over, because chances are they already got that producer already in their pocket. Like, that's my producer. He makes that music. I don't need anybody who can do what he does. I need somebody that's a stretch from what he does. It's an expansion from what he does. And then it justifies you even getting a seat at the table. So I think that's perfect advice. Speaking of advice, what are words of advice that you have for up and coming producers?
Don't be afraid of nothing, because ain't nothing gonna happen to you. Straight up.
I love it.
Me being 100% honest.
That's the answer I was hoping to get.
Don't be afraid. Don't be afraid of nothing. Yeah. Nothing. Whoever is gonna fuck with you is who's gonna fuck with you. Yeah. Period. And if they don't chase them.
Don't chase them. And producers, you've heard me say it many a times, you have to constantly put your mind in a place where you're thinking about the things that you'll worry about when you're 60 or 70. And chances are probably 90% of the relationships that are not working for you, the people that are not calling you back, the people who are saying your talent is this or is that or it's bad, they're not going to be significant to you. I think Gary Vee calls them the rocking chair thoughts. That when you're sitting in there in your rocking chair and you're thinking back on life and you're thinking about all the stuff that you paid attention to, whether it was Instagram likes or, who wasn't following you on Twitter, these things are not of significance when it comes to the long-term, long play.
At all.
And being fearless is something that, it doesn't mean, I was always told courage is not the absence of fear. It's feeling the fear and doing it anyways.
Yeah.
So even if you still feel in your heart like, yo, I don't know if anybody it doesn't matter. You've been given this life opportunity. Just take the leap.
Take that fucking leap, dog.
And keep going.
Take that leap. Yeah.
So for the last two questions, one, I want to leave on a positive note, and then I want to get people connecting with you who may have inquiries about your drum kits or may want to get production from you. But first and foremost, what is something that you're excited about right now in terms of the career of Willie B / Ichiban Don?
Man, I think y'all gonna have to wait on that. I can't really talk about it. Yeah, I can't really talk about it.
So how can people connect with you? What's the best way people connect with you?
Twitter and Instagram, and Ichiban Don is the handles.
There it is. Well, you heard it from the man himself. We certainly appreciate your time, sir. We there's a lot of gems and a lot of things that producers just revisit the video. If there's things in here that you're hesitating about or you're having second thoughts, revisit it and understand that these are leaving, like, success leaves clues. And this is why I do these interviews, because I hope that through talking through so many successful producers, you'll be able to see that a lot of stuff that they'll say is going to overlap. Because at the end of the day, success is not a mistake. Success is a habit.
I want to leave this last thing.
Sure.
You always have to remain humble.
Yes.
Like, always, and humble in the sense of this, not humble in the sense of like, devaluing yourself for the sake of other people. No. Like, if you got certain credits, it's like, I always gave this theory. I said, if Michael Jordan walked in a room and told people and asked him, what has he done as a basketball player? And he literally lists everything he's done as a basketball player. Is he arrogant for that, or is he just telling the truth? Sometimes, Curtis King, you being the inspiration that you have been for these young producers and doing all the things that you've done, that can make another person uncomfortable and say, Curtis King thinks he's this. And it's like, he's not thinking that he's anything. He's just being who he is. And if it makes you feel away, that's your problem. So what I tell people is this: stay humble in the sense of understanding that this gift is a blessing, and you want to make sure that you don't do anything to jeopardize this gift from being taken away from you.
Because it can't be.
But when it's time to poke out that chest, poke that chest out.
Absolutely. There's an amazing book that I think a lot of producers can gain from that I read called How to Toot Your Own Horn Without Blowing It. And it talks about basically there are ways, tactful ways that you can explain your accomplishments in a way where it's like, I think people get the word humble and meekness.
Exactly.
They get those.
There's a big difference.
It's a big difference. It's a big difference. Humility is not, you shutting up about your it's not you being meek about something. It literally is you speaking your truths, but in a manner where it's not trying to demean the environment. But at the same time, you can't worry necessarily about that, because however somebody's going to perceive that, they're going to perceive that. And,
you can't hold back. You can't hold back for the sake of anybody's feelings, dog. Like, it's, I use it as an example. Like, J. Cole is one of the most humblest people I ever met. You feel me? And with all the successes he's had, but guess what, dog? When it's album time, bro, you think J. Cole saying, I'm going to take it light on Dot, or I'm going to take it light on Drake? Man, that nigga trying to release the best album in the year. You get what I'm saying? Like, you ain't think about them niggas, bro. So, but that doesn't make him not humble. Like, he gotta operate in his greatness.
Absolutely. And the thing is, if everybody operated by, and the thing is, the people who make those kind of critiques, whether you want to call them trolls or whatever they is, wherever they are, the chances are they have not got even close to their peak of what their true potential is. And they want you to live mediocre, because you living mediocre allows them to continue to live the lie that they've already been living. When you start to do things amazing, especially people who have been seeing you from the very jump, do it, and they start to see the trajectory of your life actually coming to fruition and theirs has not matched up, you make them feel guilty. So producers, don't be afraid to shine your light. Don't be afraid to live your truth, as Willie B has said, and don't feel guilty about it, because at the end of the day, their problem with you is still their problem with you. You cannot take ownership of it. You can't take ownership of it, but I appreciate you sharing those words, man. I know it's dinner time over there right now in the household.
Yes, it is.
I appreciate their patience with the interview. Thank you once again, my good sir. Once again, this is Curtis King, CurtisKingBeats.com, and you've been listening to the Curtis King Podcast. Like I always say, you will not be full of life until you decide to live life to its fullest. Curtis King, CurtisKingBeats.com. Peace.